serving Central Queensland. This is 7 Local News.
Tonight, Emerald in a state of emergency as floodwaters close in. Theodore residents evacuated for up to a week. The Premier announces disaster relief funds. And fears food prices could rise by 50%. Good evening, thanks for joining us. Central Queensland's flood crisis is worsening by the minute as floodwaters continue to rise across the region. The entire town of Theodore has been evacuated and is tonight being housed in emergency accommodation with fears they could be stuck there for a week at least. And Emerald is bracing for the worst as the Nagoa River rises rapidly.
Emerald, isolated and in a state of emergency. Residents are starting to evacuate.
And we've had families with babies as young as 3.5 months sleeping in the evacuation centres.
The Nagoa River is at 14 metres and rising 6 centimetres an hour. It could reach 15.3 metres by Friday. That's higher than the levels that caused the devastation of 2008.
We're expecting this event will be probably 300 millimetres higher than that. And on this occasion, we'll cut off both the road and the rail access to Emerald.
Back then, crop damage cost local industry more than $50 million. The last road out of the town is expected to go under tonight. Supermarket staples sold out this afternoon as locals prepare for the worst.
This is not an operation that's going to end when the sunshine comes out.
Theodore resembles a ghost town. Residents who stayed on with their pets were forced to evacuate to Mowra. Hot food and drink was welcome, not the news they may not be allowed home for at least a week.
There's no sewage, there's no drinking water, and power is limited.
The Dawson River at Taroom reached a record high of 10.38 metres. That's a metre higher than the 1956 record.
We've lost everything. Piano, beds, just everything.
Hundreds of locals sit and wait in emergency housing. It's taken 9 helicopters to get them out safely. The focus is now slowly shifting to recovery. Premier Anna McManamey has promised all efforts will be made to ensure a swift clean-up so that lives can start to return to normal.
And as we begin the heartbreaking process of rebuilding, we'll assess those people who are eligible for more levels of relief to help them rebuild their lives.
Casie Scott, 7 News.
And flood-weary Rockhampton residents are again being urged to prepare as the worst flooding in 20 years bears down on the region. Premier Anna McManamey and Emergency Minister Neil Roberts toured the stricken region today and declared the area a disaster zone.
The rains have eased, but the waters keep rising. The Fitzroy River swelled to a height of 7.9 metres today. Authorities are predicting a peak of 8.5 early next week.
There's a significant body of water coming down. It is a very serious situation that we are currently in.
The yards of up to 500 Rockhampton homes face being swamped, 50 with water over their floorboards. Roads, rail and air travel are at a risk of being shut down.
We are encouraging people very strongly that they need to consider self-evacuation and moving in with friends or relatives or into motels or moving to an area where they are on higher ground.
Premier Anna McManamey cut short her holiday to see the effects firsthand.
Frankly, some people are experiencing catastrophic upheavals and there is more to come.
Rockhampton, Woorabinda and Emerald have all been declared disaster zones. The government launched an appeal to help those devastated by flooding.
This appeal is about helping to add to the money that government makes available to help families when they go through something like this.
Authorities here are working round the clock to protect homes and businesses, but there's only so much that can be done.
And if you are in those areas, you need to start to prepare your property.
And residents aren't taking the advice lightly. Here at the local supermarket, workers have been run off their feet as people make a last-minute dash to the shops to stock up on essential supplies.
People are panicking because the flood water's coming down. And, you know, they may not do any stock coming in for 2 or 3 days.
Worried residents maintain a constant stream to the gauge as the city awaits its fate. All authorities can do now is hope for the best. Anna McManamey, 7 News.
Queensland's wild weather and flooding means some food prices could rise by as much as 50%. The damage is likely to push up the cost of groceries, including melons, tomatoes, mangoes and bananas, from today. The Queensland farming industry has suffered at least $400 million in flooding losses. Lobby group AgForce estimates 20% of the state's crops have been lost in the heavy rain. Winds associated with Cyclone Tasha flattened some plantations. Trucks carrying the fruit and vegetables have also been stranded and unable to make deliveries. The flooding disaster has proved a drawcard for amateur cameramen and photographers, with residents across Central Queensland busy taking their own pictures. But police and SES workers warn the dangers of rising floodwaters are very real and are urging people to take more care.
The devastation is incredible from the air. These amateur pictures show the road has disappeared between Billawheeler and Banana. But on the ground, some children and adults are treating the disaster as a novelty, ignoring warnings to stay out of floodwaters. Authorities are fed up.
Yesterday and again today, we're still getting reports of kids in tubes and on boogie boards and that sort of thing, where waters may appear to be safe. The big hazards are, of course, submerged logs that you cannot see, which can entrap and drown people very quickly.
Nearly 100 people have drowned this year alone. Drivers have captured images of floodwaters rushing across roads, including the Carnarvon Highway.
It's just roaring, the water here. The closest we can get to your driveway is about easy 150 metres.
Police are urging those who don't have to travel to stay home. Drivers should check the state of roads on the 131940 website and obey the signs in place.
The road closed signs are there for a reason. They say road closed, that means it's closed. Don't push them aside and think you can get through.
Even roads that aren't closed are still dangerous. In Rolleston, it's hard to tell just how high the water's risen. All the markers are submerged. Locals say it's the biggest flood in at least 40 years. Emily Fardoulys, 7